It's Tuesday night, it's the locker room, it's on Channel 31. Welcome Rock Dogs, big show tonight here from the Springthorpe Country Club. It's the grey-haired old muck duck with you, formerly known as Greg Blake, dragged out of the crypt to do this show. Can't wait for tonight, it is a huge one. And just by the way, if you haven't checked out the locker room on Facebook, fantastic stuff, lots of reminiscing. Got some messages on Facebook this week saying terrific idea, it's a great news show. Got a lot of old guests, a lot of historic stuff, but don't get stuck in the past. So tonight, rather than talk about football in the past, we're going to talk about why Taylor Swift appears to the tweens. We're going to talk Call of Duty in our game review. And then after that, we're going to discuss rave culture. Get stuffed. See you after the break. Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the locker room. In all sincerity, I feel really, really proud and privileged tonight. We've got two exceptionally special guests, along with Dougie Hodgson, of course, the great man, my co-host. But we've got two of the legends of the games. I don't think I'm going out on a limb to say that between 1990 and about 1996, the best club football team in this country was represented by these two fine young men. They're not so young now. They both turned 40 this year, and we welcome Joe Spiteri and Danny Tiatto. Welcome, gentlemen.
Cheers, Blakey. Thanks for having us.
Good to see the boys here, though, Blakey.
Look, it's fantastic. I got a bit of
excitement
I
in
was
there,
aroused in unusual ways when I walked in the room tonight because it got me thinking, I'll go with the boys on this because what I try and do is my memory is failing me, but I can remember with some clarity that wonderful, wonderful season, 94-95, when the Melbourne Knights first won the title after so many years of being the bridesmaid. And the two specific memories that I have, Danny, I know you're going to hate me for this, but 11 minutes into the preliminary final, a teeming rain, Mark Paducah back from duty on Young Socceroos duty, came back and scored a hat-trick, but who did not contribute on the day? Danny Tiatto, who managed to get himself sent off for not the first time, 11 minutes into the game. Yes.
And you might see tonight, guys, every time Danny was sent off in his career, this might pop out.
And we've got some fantastic stats on it. And then, of course, the following week, that wonderful grand final, that groundbreaking grand final in Adelaide, when the Melbourne Knights finally broke the drought and Joe Spiteri, one of the two scorers on the day, Mark Paducah, the other one. Gentlemen, it was a great time. What do you recall of that drought-breaking Melbourne Knights premiership?
Yeah, I think the club and the team itself was just unbelievable back then. The players we had in that team were just great players.
And then there was like the Dukes.
The Dukes, Horvat, Andrew Marth.
Simunic, Talic, you just go on and on. Biskic.
They're just, Silic, it just kept on going and going, and to be a part of that team was unbelievable. I was just sort of starting my career, and to be sort of taken under their wings, and then to go on and win that grand final in front of what was over there, 30,000 hostile.
The enemy, and they were hostile too.
Hostile might be an easier way of putting it there, guys. It's called the passion.
To get that win over there and actually to score a goal, and then it was one of the.
Was it the winner then, Joe?
No, I think it was the first goal actually.
Made it 1-0.
Yeah, it was the start, and I think the boys would say I should have scored about 3 or 4, but I didn't get on the score sheet other than that. But
now I just want to bring something to you. Melbourne Knights, you both were there, and there was a word that you guys will remember. You can, you cannot, you cannot. Does that ring a bell? Because I've been given these words, boys, that'll bring a smile to your two face. Can you explain to me, please, guys? You can, you cannot, you cannot.
Well, that's Mitko Basic at the time was a coach, and he came up with some corkers. Still to this day, I don't know what he meant by that comment. but he could pick the talent out. But he was definitely a strange character around the dressing rooms, and some of the team talks bamboozled every single player in there.
I think that might have been Joe, one that came to the equation on that day.
Oh, mate, quite a character. I remember even our manager back then, we used to wear his Copa Mundials into the Sizzler before the pre-match meal. So that's the only shoes that he had. It was pretty good value.
So where do we go from, Blake? We've got two legends of the game that have been involved.
Let's do it piece by piece and just take it through, because a lot of parallels in the careers of these two guys. There's it's currently a lot of talk about the reorganising the VPL and so forth. But what's fascinating about these two guys is Danny came from Bulleen in the Victorian Premier League at the time, and Joe came from, of course, Albion Rovers, Albion Turkgutsu. Which one was it at the time?
Oh, I was at Green Gully. Actually went over to Heidelberg for a little while with Dougie when he was there, when he first started out, and then made me way back to Albion. And then through Parramatta, and then so they both spent a couple of years at the Melbourne Knights during the glory days. So look, my lead question would be, and let's take it piece by piece.
46. I'm going to get out my states. You know I love me states. Steaks are good.
I like
stats are better.
Steaks are great.
46 games and 17 goals at Albion, my friend.
Yeah, Albion was a good club. I think we had a coach there, Tiatto, and
the old JUST.
Yeah, he was
Parramatta 25 and 5. Not too bad. So
not
goal,
too bad.
Goal scoring machine.
I'd like to get on there. Like to get on the end of things. But yeah, like with Tiatto, he was a funny character. He used to just tell me. I used to always be one that used to try and work a little bit harder, work around and just run around. And he used to say, "No more running from you. No more running. You sit up front, wait for the ball, score the goals." And
the accent, you've got it down pat. We're at the Springthorpe Country Club tonight with Dougie Hodgson, Greg Blake on deck, two special guests, Joe Spiteri to my left, and to my far left is Danny Tiatto. Danny, quickly, your journey from Bulleen to the Melbourne Knights and the start of a pretty special career.
Yeah, definitely. I got my opportunity there at Bulleen under Andy Bazikas, and at the time we had a very good side there at Bulleen. We ended up winning the championship the first season I was there in the seniors. I ended up missing out through a leg injury, and basically had a very good season anyway. And then Mitko Bazic at the time was a coach at Melbourne Knights, and he saw me play in one of the games in pre-season, and basically got a call up from there. And the rest is history, as they say.
And before Dougie, but before the overseas moves started coming for you guys, one quickly about the Melbourne Knights period, which I was really familiar with because I was covering the league at the time. Shut up! That's the referee telling it's 1 minute. Quickly, in 30 seconds or less, your one enduring memory of the Melbourne Knights days.
Just a great bunch of boys, very talented bunch of boys. Won the championships 2 years in a row.
And you missed both grand finals
for both of them. But at least I helped them get there. So.
Here he pops out again.
Ever seen one of those?
Danny. Sorry, son.
That was the start of the end for me.
And quickly, Joe, your one enduring memory from the Melbourne Knights era.
Yeah, that grand final win, the first 94-95. Again, I missed the second final due to Olympic commitments and that. So, that grand final win was unbelievable.
Dougie, we're going to lead these guys through in another quick take after the break. There's so much to talk. I'm really depressed because I just realised we could actually sit here and talk to these guys for hours and hours and hours. We haven't got hours and hours. Springthorpe Country Club, don't forget the Facebook locker room page. Doug Hodgson, Greg Blake, back after the break. Channel 31, Locker Room, the Blakester and DH with two special guests, Joe Spiteri and Danny Tiatto, who, it's remiss of me not to say that we regret that we can't actually do a whole long session with them, but we do have to cram some. I'm a bit of a crammer, Joe, and I want to mention Doug, hold it up now, that's the way, good fella. Now, no Doug shirt tonight, but this will be relevant in just one moment, Joe, because you want to talk to us about Insiders Football Tours.
Yeah, that's correct, Blakey. Danny and myself, we're hosting a bit of a tour to Brazil. Our good friends at Organisations Unlimited are actually running the tour, and Danny and myself are going to be part of this. Really, just a small boutique tour, basically. Only 44 people that can come along on this tour. We'll be a part with Danny and myself throughout the day. We'll be there 24 hours of the day. We're not just going to be a token host where we'll just show up and do something and then you'll never see us again. We're going to be there totally, and we'll be just that small little boutique.
So great of an opportunity, boys and girls, and anyone else to get on board to meet these two people and be in the house with them on the tour. Now they're following Australia
and
too.
Ask them the questions that we don't get the time to ask tonight, because I'm sure they'd be happy to talk about some really significant careers. We know a lot about Danny. Joe, just quickly, we were talking before about your heading overseas. Tell us quickly about your journey after the Melbourne Knights.
Yeah, well, basically, was part of the Olympic team with Danny. Danny and I were roommates. From there, tried to get into England, which was a bit of a hard ask.
Now we know why they didn't get into England, and we'll go back to that later.
Yeah, couldn't get a visa over there just quickly. Didn't have the European passport or that side of things. And after all that, got into the back door out at Austria. Played with Sturm Graz. We played UEFA Cup, played Champions League. Played 2 or 3 years down there.
And a lot of that stuff flew under the radar here because that's not, they're not the sort of leagues that we follow.
No, a bit of a stepping stone type thing. And then from there, got picked up by Belgian club Liège. Went down there again, played another 3 years down there. Played in the Belgian Cup final. We did Cup Winners' Cups and those sort of things.
Can I butt in here, mate? Now, we've got 100 games. I've got 100 games, plenty of goals. Now, there's one particular one I've seen. Now, I know when us Aussies are abroad, we like to bring back Australia. Can you talk me through the game? Was it Belgium, grand final, and you scored the header, whipped in, back post, there. Celebration. Please talk me through that celebration.
Yeah, well, I did a bit of a kangaroo hop.
Could you replicate it for us now?
Just a little, go on, Joe, just for the camera.
Just a little
kangaroo hop, guys. You've seen it live. And a great goal too, by the way.
Among the supporters clubs, a lot of supporters clubs over in Europe, as Danny would know, and I was known as Joe the Kangaroo, original being from Australia. Yeah. So I thought I'd just give him a little something once scored the first goal in the Belgium Cup final over there. So it was just something I thought they might like.
Geez, you've had a hell of a career, and the interesting thing is you spent most of it on the paddock. Danny Tiatto, to you.
Well, where do you go with this man?
Is that familiar to you? Does that bring you great memories?
Not great memories.
A lot of memories.
Yeah, a lot of memories.
I have to admit, Dan, and I don't want to... listen, people that know me in the game, I suppose, I played it on my heart and my sleeve, and I probably had a reputation of not bad and getting stuck in to areas. But after watching and doing some Google and bits, mate, and I have to admit, what a career you had. 140 games at Man City. You know, you've gone from Stoke, Man City, £300,000 move in there, mate. You've had a great career. You know, tell me, I won't go through the 36 yellows and the 6 reds, you know what I mean? And I think you must hold the record for the only bloke I've ever seen get sent off in 6 minutes in a game. But talk me through the career, mate. How did it start to come out of Australia?
Yeah, well, basically, like Joe said, we basically went to Atlanta Olympics in '96 and made my way over to Italy. Played at Salernitana in the Serie B for a year and a half. Worked my way back over to the UK and played at Stoke for half a season. Done quite well there. Picked up my odd red card and yellow card as I do along my way, and made it to Man City. Played there for 5 seasons. Enjoyable times at City, and then ended up moving over to Leicester and played for Leicester for 3 seasons and captained them as well at 1 season as well. So no, it was a great career. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. A lot of highs and lows, between getting sent off, injured, and playing some big games.
I suppose a big one looking in. I see, obviously, you're playing for Australia, 25 games, and I actually watched one of them, mate. You took the ball from the left out of paddock all the way down the left-hand side, banged in the corner, mate. Just to watch that on YouTube today. So if you are watching, and got a chance, jump on YouTube and have a look at some of Danny's goals. Unbelievable as well. But mate, getting sent off, and listen, there's a player and understanding what's sent off. Is there any regrettable situations when you wish, geez, could I or couldn't? Because when the red mist comes in and you're on that paddock, and mate, we're there to win, and that's our job. And I understand the passion, and that's what we do. But is there anything you look back and go, geez, maybe I shouldn't have, or wouldn't have? Any regrets or not really?
To be honest, no, I don't think so. I've got no regrets. I think when I go out there, I'm always competitive. And I'm not the first player to get sent off. I'm not the last. You got the likes of Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira at the time. They're players that got sent off regularly, and I was just one of those players. I tried to enforce my style of play, and if someone was there to get tackled, then I'd clean them up and get a red card every now and then. I'd take it, and I was lucky enough that I had coaches that didn't really bust me chops too much after I did get sent off, so I always had the backing.
There was a comment in there that Kevin Keegan was actually quite happy you got sent off because you changed the game and you actually came back and won, and that was a quotation, so the legend of Kevin Keegan was quite in there, wasn't he, at one particular?
We had a few fallings out. Me and big Kevin Keegan, he said Danny Tiatto doesn't exist at one stage. That we had a bit of a scrap on the sidelines when I got sent off and that. But that's all in the past, and you know we kissed and made up after that, and then I got myself sent off, and then
Bit of a love-hate relationship.
Basically, yeah.
I had that similar with Neil Warnock. It's okay, it happens, guys, in fair name.
Now, something we do on the locker room on a regular basis, because we do dredge up all these wonderful, wonderful names from the past, is and we're going to put you on the spot, guys. We're all grumpy old men, we're all reflective, but I'll go for you first, Joe. You're going back through the vortex of time. That's my time travel voice. You've got a moment that you want to relive because it was so beautiful and so memorable, and if you could have that moment back anywhere in your career, which one would you go back to and say, oh God, I wish I could do that again?
One thing that sort of stands out with me, playing for Australia against Argentina, was just a friendly over there, and just to see the passion and the supporters over there, 60,000 fans, they're crammed in right on top of you, big cyclone fences, all on the fences, you know, just wanting to tear you apart, and just to be a part of it and to see, you know, the difference in their passion.
How amazingly, I'm not being facetious, you know, when you're representing Australia in that sort of scenario, how amazing, how proud are you to be an Australian at that time? Do you become more patriotic almost?
Yeah, well, you just can't imagine that you're actually there. You know, you see that sort of type of passion and that, and you think, oh, if I go out there and score, you know, hopefully they don't kill me. But yeah, it was just unbelievable moment for myself, and one I'll never forget.
Joe Spiteri, Danny Tiatto, you've got that moment that you can have back. Be quiet, honestly. Honestly, Danny Tiatto's here, and believe me, he will cripple
double
you.
foot you.
I'd have to say, being a Man City player and a Man City supporter, was beating Man United 3-1 at Main Road. If I could have that all over again, I'd take that any day. The atmosphere and the lead up to those games are always great, and to kick those dirty Reds was always great.
Wow.
So you've heard that live here at the locker room, guys, and as you know, if you're living in Manchester, that is a passion that you cannot foresee to believe, guys, because it is unbelievable the tension when you've got Man City and Man United.
Do you not find it a little ironic, though, that you know, when we look back and we're talking about the reorganisation of the Victorian football and everything else, that these two young men came from the local competitions and went on to have such amazing careers?
Blakey, I looked at it, mate, and I mean this, and I sit here, and I'm very privileged, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, to sit here with two legends of the game, because in over 300 to 400 games these boys have played, local, internationally, back and forward, and to do that at any achievement at every level, guys, I take my hat off and salute to both of you, especially the careers that you guys have had.
Let's do a quick one, because we're on the stopwatch. We've got one more for you. On the spot, Danny.
I just want to ask, Phil Blakey, I just want to look at...
Doesn't
mate,
that
now,
sum up everything?
I just want to know, now, Dan, did you have a mate? I hope you weren't, but it wasn't your missus or your mum.
Yeah, I've got a few good mates in Melbourne, and that's a little gesture that I said to say g'day to them. I just one more beer after the game, I think that was.
No, that's all right.
Just one
I bet you had one extra though, just to make sure.
That's right.
So
just quickly, I'm again putting you on the spot. Best player that you've ever seen live in a game, whether it's an opposition or a.
Would have to be Ronaldinho. We opened up the city of Manchester, Man City, and Barcelona, and I had to mark him and. He was pretty lucky. He was too quick, and I didn't get sent off because I couldn't catch him. Basically,
you went past you once, and once was enough.
I wouldn't say he was the best player, but my favourite player was Ian Rush back in the day. I used to love watching him play.
He could score goals.
He just knew where the goals were all the time.
Did you used to look up to him though, Jones?
You used to look up to him, yeah, definitely. Was thinking if I could be, you know, a quarter as good as he at scoring goals, I'd do well for myself.
And this is the worst thing I've had to do, because I think there's probably any number of stories we'd like to draw from you guys, but certainly as an old dude that saw you two play and admired what you did and remember those things so fondly, given that I have no life now, I'm almost a septuagenarian canarian or whatever they call it. I don't even know what that is. Where's my Zimmer frame? But to Danny and to Joe, thank you so much for joining us on The Locker Room tonight. You are rock stars, and you will always be held in the highest esteem by the game.
Yeah, thanks, Blakey. Thanks very much. Again, anyone wants to be a part of us?
Indoors football tours. Rock on.
Insidersfootballtours.com.au. Be on the inside. With
Soccer Pro Academy. You want some coaching of this man? You know where to go as well, my friends.
And Danny's really good at a foot massage. All right, we'll catch you after the break with our final segment on The Locker Room tonight. See you then. Welcome back, Springthorpe Country Club. Grey-haired old muck duck here, and JFOT joining us for the first time. 3 things you need not forget. Insiders Football Tours, very important, Springthorpe Country Club. And don't forget to check out the Locker Room Facebook page. Get off the porn, get off the inline gaming, get onto the Locker Room. JFOT, welcome.
Oh, good evening, everyone, and Greg and Dougie. Wasn't it great to have the 2 boys on? And I believe they're still kicking around down at Point Cook this year.
And it is.
Joe Spiteri's banging in goals for fun. I don't know. Hopefully Danny's still
always
playing.
did, always will. And just quickly, that may be a precursor. We've got some reunion episodes planned in the future with some of the great teams to have played in the NSL. So look forward to that, JFOT.
I've got some late news on the our favourite topic, the NPL, which is not looking too good at the moment.
Well, if you ask the FFV, Blake, he reckons it's fantastic.
Well, yeah, the FFV are saying they're going ahead with it.
South Melbourne's saying, well, let's look at legal action.
Well, we've got 47 clubs, basically, Dougie and Greg, that are basically saying they don't want to be a part of it as it is.
So that's pretty positive.
They've written an open letter to the CEO of the FFV saying that, you know, we're giving you till pretty much a 4 p.m. deadline tomorrow, Wednesday, which to respond to us. And the FFV are just saying, well, we know nothing about that, so we're just going to go ahead with the whole thing. And now it's even hit the mainstream media, we believe, in the Fairfax Press, in the
Herald Sun and the Age.
And the Age, yeah. They've written, and I've got the article with me that Michael Lynch has written. He's saying that Victoria's soccer governing body's on a collision course with some of the state's most famous clubs. And we're not talking about small clubs, we're talking about clubs like South Melbourne, Melbourne Knights, Heidelberg, Green Gully, all of these big clubs, Northcote City, that are on top, of course.
Do you think, though, Johnny, the madness behind it, or the method behind it, is to get rid of clubs like that?
Well, you would think there might be something going on behind the scenes, because at the moment, from what I see, the two sort of parties are miles apart. You've got the FFV on one hand saying pretty much we're going to go ahead with this, you know, if we can get enough clubs. The clubs are saying, look, it's putting too much of a financial burden on us to come through and meet all the criteria.
The criteria, by the way, is fantastic. We've read it, we've looked at it. It makes people accountable. It's making the game being professional as best as it can. Unbelievable. That's the way it's got to go.
That's what football needs.
How can they do it?
Well, the potential here is that, you know, if the boys are up to it, we may end up with Point Cook in the Premier League next season. That wouldn't be a bad thing, because it would be the return of Danny Tiatto and Joe Spiteri. But the good thing is, the comforting thing for me is, having covered the game now for a good long while, that it's good to know that even if I take a 10-year hiatus from the game, that the VSF is still a dog's breakfast, the breakfast of a canine.
And I notice you call it the VSF, it's now called the FFV, of course.
Well, not to me. Where's my Zimmer frame? Shut up. Anyway, JFOT, give us something positive.
Well,
give us something to, give us a teat to suck on, would you?
Well, the positive news is that, of course, that the clubs have got until Friday the 16th of August, which, of course, once you see this show, that's gone past, but we know that that's when they've got to apply. Let's hope, for everyone's sake in football...
for the game. Let's make sure they can work together. Go together. Guys, you need to come together, work together and make a direction.
There has to be some movements from both parties, I think.
Either way, the game needs the likes of the clubs that have been around for ages. The infrastructure they're trying to put in needs to be taken place, but they've got to work together as a unit, because at the end of the day, we want the game to develop in this country. We want the soccer to go upwards, not downwards. The marketing side's great, and they've got to figure a way of how they can do it.
And plus, we want to be here in 20 years' time interviewing the players of today.
Maybe not Blakey. Blakey's out with the last 10.
You can record it from the Repat Hospital. Anyway, the window of opportunity is closing. There you go, Johnny. It's Tuesday night. I'm feeling all right. You're on Locker Room. Rock on, testify. We'll see you next week. Thanks, JFOT. Thanks, Doug. Special guest, Danny and Joe.
The ref, it wasn't me.
Thanks to Bayside, referee Wayne for the Barony Street. Love it.
Shut up.
Good night.
We'll see you next week.